Hey, let's look at the beauty of point slope form. This video may take a little bit longer because we are really going in depth with point slope form, and then we're going to be taking this point slope form and turning it into slope intercept form equations and then standard form equations. So looking at this graph, I have 2 points that are given to me. And yeah, sure, I probably can figure out the y-intercept and everything. But if I have just 2 points, I can also write an equation in point slope form. I can't necessarily trust that a graph is truly going through the y-intercept where it looks like it is if I'm not super careful. So I might as well just do the calculations I might need to do in terms of point slope form to create an equation that I know I can be sure of. Okay, so our 2 points, we have 2, 4, and 6, 6 for our points. First step that I'm going to do is I'm going to find my slope. So I'm going to use the slope equation. M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I'm going to look at the rise over the run. I'm going to look at the differences in the y values and the differences in the x values. It doesn't matter which point I pick as my y sub 1 or my y sub 2. It truly doesn't matter. I'm just going to go from left to right, and I'm going to say this is my x sub 1 and my y sub 1. Here's my x sub 2 and my y sub 2. I'm now going to put that into this equation. So I have 6 minus 4 over 6 minus 2. And I'm going to simplify. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. So I get 1/2 for my slope. Cool, done. My slope is 1/2. And I have 2 different points that I can choose from. Now, when it comes to point slope form, this format of equation, y minus y sub 1 is equal to m minus x, or times x minus x sub 1. I do not care which point you pick, but I am going to say pick the point that's a little bit easier to work with. If you have points that have negative numbers, skip it. If you have another point that has positive numbers only, like make yourself and your life a little bit easier. As well, if you have points that are intercepts, if you have an x-intercept or something like that, use that point and totally get rid of one of these extra x's or extra y's. It's kind of nice when you can do that. In this case, I have 1 point that is 6, 6. I'm going to use that point because I'm not going to make a mistake when I put this y value in for y and this 6, this x value in for x. I'm not going to make a mistake because the number is the same, right? I just have to pay attention to the fact that this is a positive 6. So when it goes in here, it's going to be y minus 6 when I put it in there because the base equation has subtraction signs in it. If this was a negative 6 and a negative 6, I'd have to say plus 6, plus 6. Does that make sense? I won't have to worry about that in this case. So I am going to first add my slope in here. And then I'm going to put my x and y values. So my y sub 1 value, I'm going to say is 6. I don't have to use the same y sub 1 or the same x sub 1 that I did before. I can use this other point. Again, it doesn't matter. Make your life easy and use whichever point is easier. Now I'm going to put my 6 in for x. And now my equation is done. I already have it written. Here is my final point slope form equation. That being said, I can also take this point slope form equation and turn it into slope intercept form, and it would look something like this. First things first, y minus 6 is equal to 1/2 times x minus 6. I'm shaking this chair. Now I need to do a little distributive property here to simplify that parentheses. I now have y minus 6 is equal to 1/2 x minus 3. And then after that, I just need to get y by itself, right? So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. I get y is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. There is my slope-intercept form equation. So this intercept right here is actually accurate in saying that 0, 3 is truly a point on this line. Now, if I were to take this, I'm going to erase this graph. If I were to take this point slope form and turn it into standard form, that ax plus by equals c format, I have to, well, I mean, I don't have to turn it, like do this step to get there. I can technically do other steps to get there, But I mean, I'm eventually going to have to deal with that distributive property anyways. It's best if you're going to take point slope form and turn it into standard form that you go this route and say, okay, I need to first convert it into slope intercept form. Then from slope intercept form, I'm going to now turn this into standard form. So now I'm going to I have point slope form version of this equation. I have slope intercept form version of this equation. Now I'm going to take this equation that I initially started with point slope form, convert it into slope intercept form, and I'm going to turn it into standard form. I know, crazy. All right, so to start out with standard form, I can't have fractions, so I'm going to get rid of my fraction. I'm going to multiply this term by 2/1. That means I'm going to multiply this term by 2/1. I'm going to multiply this term by 2/1. Essentially, 2/1 is 2, right? So 2 times y is 2y. 1/2 x times 2 is just simply x. 3 times 2 is 6. Now I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I get negative x plus 2y is equal to 6. Last but not least, I can't have a negative a term, so I need to multiply everything by -1. Multiply everything by -1. And I know that's a little awkward with the equal sign. I guess technically I can do that, multiply everything by -1. And now I can distribute this -1 into all of my terms. I get x minus 2y is equal to -1 times 6, -6. So now I have an equation that I wrote in point slope form. I turned it into slope intercept form, and I finished it off in standard form. So I can use now all sorts of different formats to play around with what initially started with was just 2 points. And I turned it into all 3 equations using the amazingness of point slope form. Check out your must-do practice problems for this particular lesson. Have at them. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye, guys.